is my life. Go ahead with your own life, leave me.
Welcome back. Joining us now is certified life and spiritual coach Minerva Maharaj from Goddess of Wisdom Spiritual Life Coaching. Welcome to What She Said.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, what is a spiritual life coach?
Spiritual life coach is someone who integrates all beings of you. So the best way I can explain this is there's this Indian proverb that says we're a house with 4 rooms, a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And often we just sit in one of those rooms and we forget to go visit the other rooms and air out those rooms. And when we do that, we're incomplete. And often the room that is less visited is the spiritual side of who we are. And when we don't address that part of it, that's where a lot of our pain and suffering comes from. And also when we do address that part of us, the spirit side of us, is where we experience our greatest transformations and completeness and fulfillment.
So what exactly do you mean by the spirit side of us? Not just spiritual as in religious.
Right, exactly. I'm glad you said that.
Okay. So
Yeah, so it's not a religious thing. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. The spirit side of you is that energy being side of you. So it's not the physical, it's not the mental, it's not the stuff the tangible that you can see. So have you ever heard that quote, we're not human beings on a spiritual experience, we're spirit beings on a human experience? Yeah. Yeah. So it's an innate part of who we are. Yes, we are the physical, as you see right here. Mm-hmm. We're thinking, we're feeling beings, but it's that energy, that spirit, that essence, that true essence part of you.
Well, you said just a moment ago that that's things like pain. Well, I would think of pain as being an emotional, in my emotional room. Mm-hmm. But you're saying that's where pain comes from.
Well, yes, it could be, but sometimes the emotion is just the symptom of the problem. And sometimes the problem could be that we're not addressing the essence of who we are. We may be operating from the false self, might be operating from things that we are told, limiting beliefs. Whereas the spirit self is, for me, the spiritual side is tapping into that true essence, who you really are, that love, that peace.
How do you do that, though?
Yeah, how do you find
If
it?
I come in to see you and I say, I need some spiritual coaching, what questions do you ask me? How do you find out whether I'm sick or well in the spiritual department?
Right. So often it would be something that someone comes to me is like their relationships is suffering, their money is suffering, their career, there's feeling lost. And there's a point where you can only go so far without addressing your spiritual self. So, for example, I had a client who's, working she's a doer, she's a thinker, she's accomplished a lot, but you get to a point where those things are not enough. And something just feels off and incomplete, and she's not happy. She was actually shut down emotionally completely. And I realized that the reason being is because the spiritual side was shut off. She wasn't tapping into that. And what that means is that she ignored her intuition. She ignored her inner knowing, her inner wisdom. She had to shut down. She didn't like who she was anymore. So she's developed this ego self that was based out of fear, that was based off of just surviving through whatever pains and suffering that she was going through. And I know for the years I was doing this that often a lot of the reasons why people are suffering is because they're not they're not in touch with who they really are. And that who they really are is really that flow of peace, of joy.
Now, you've described a few things that I can definitely relate to and think, oh, yeah, that's me. Mm-hmm. So what's the process of how I tap into to find that? What do I need to do?
Well, one way I do that is through coaching and through retreats. So if it was through coaching, we always do like a clarity call. We do like a complimentary call to make sure we're the right fit. And there I just pull up, I hear a lot of the blocks. I hear a lot of the problems of what's going on. And then we go into the coaching. And in the coaching, we do a full life assessment of all the imbalances. And often the things that are off are makes complete sense as to where people are. And again, it comes back to they've just shut off what they really want, what they really feel about themselves, what they really wanted in their lives, and who they truly are. And that's what's led to a lot of the problems, because they're operating through what family has told them, through some painful experiences, and through their understanding of what life has been. And yes, although some negative experiences have happened to people, they start to believe that's who they are, that's what they deserve. And then you start going down the wrong path. But back to your question. So what I do is I integrate all beings. So it's not just about the woo-woo stuff. The spiritual side is like, oh, let's just go into your intuition and see what that says. That is important too. But we also look at the physical side. Like, what are the things that you are doing that's blocking you, that's not serving you, patterns and behaviors that aren't serving you? Where is that coming from? It's not just a matter of, let's do something else. Let's try this. It's really getting down to the root of it, to uproot it, release that in a meaningful way, so that the actions and behaviors that they move forward and choose are serving them better. Then we also do some mindset stuff. We have to change, we have to uproot a lot of limiting beliefs, things that are not serving them anymore, memories that are painful, things that are really hard, because a lot of these emit an energy, a vibration of frequency, that when you stay on that, that's what you attract more of. Then we also look at, the mental, then we look at the emotional, what's going on there. And I bring in different techniques that I have where we really go deep on and really peeling apart the layers of these emotions to understand them, because each emotion has a message for us.
Sounds like it could be quite traumatic for some people when they start realizing what's blocking them.
Oh, yeah. And there's sometimes they just don't want to go there, and that's totally understandable. And that's why the packages that I do, the coaching I do, they're over a certain amount of months. It's not just one of those things you just do in one session. It doesn't serve them right? So, and then there's times that things come up, and as a coach, I lead them to it, and I give an outside perspective. And there's one time in particular, there was this hurt, and this lady said, "I'm not ready to go there. I feel like I won't be able to handle once we open this." And I completely understand, and I honor that. And we just work at the pace that they're ready for. And eventually she came to me, and we worked through that when she was ready. A lot of residual things that they even thought they were over comes up in our coaching.
So if people don't quite understand the language of spirituality, and so they're not self-aware and they don't know that maybe that's off balance,
right?
How would they know if maybe they're not happy, or they just don't feel in their skin, or something's bothering them, they're just not sure what it is?
Right.
How would they know to come to you?
They would know by, we pull it back. So we go through the surface stuff that's going on, and I'll speak on their level, and speak to them in terms of, emotions, speak in terms of the experience that's showing up in, this is what's happening and this is what it means, and peeling back the layers. So we really do address it with what resonates with them. This is not about, okay, let's talk to the angels, let's talk to light, let's talk to source, God, whatever that is. First, we meet them where they're at. I meet them where they're at. And we speak in those terms, as terms of emotions and the experiences that they're going through. And then we slowly peel back and bring it back to what resonates with them. And they always, people who come in is like, yeah, I used to pray as a kid. I used to go to church, but I don't like it anymore. But in every single one of my clients at the end have reconnected to their spirituality. And that's actually what's made the greatest difference when they are ready, right?
Now you have some of your clients include people from the Toronto Police Service, the Raptors, the Argonauts. I mean, you're busy there. How can people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me through my website, goddessofwisdom.ca, and you can book a free clarity call, which is 30 minutes of my time for us to get to know each other. Again, it's a little coaching call where I pull up some blocks, make some suggestions, and you get some tools from it. And if coaching further feels right for the both of us, then we explore that. Also, if you go on my site, I do Eat, Meditate, Love retreats. So it's a transformational weekend where, if you don't want to do the coaching, but you want to dive deep and get a true experience of tapping into the true essence of who you are, then that's available on the site as well. So you could get some information there.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, she said
She's magical, mystical, a powerful wonder girl.